Hey, Chief, I didn't bring over any agendas. Do you have enough to share?
I didn't print any, but
Yeah, I
so make some.
Okay.
I got one
Is it
somewhere.
different than the one?
Here,
Both of them are in our.
Yeah,
same-
I'll make some copies.
Didn't it go out too even?
Do that.
I got it. Just wrong.
Keith, how are you?
Good, how you doing?
Doing good? Went to Cleveland yesterday. Curtis, football.
We'll call the order meeting at 5:30. Are we waiting on the mayor for any reason? What did he do? Okay, we'll go ahead and get the thing kicked off. Chief Mason, you've got the floor.
That looks like a good one.
As you can see, the November stats, it's just another regular month. We had 117 calls for service, which falls within the norm of regular and normal. 121 offense reports is still within an average of 4 years. 49 on the arrests. Again, another within the average. Accidents 32.
Yeah.
A little higher than we'd like to see them, but it's still within an average of 4 years there. Citations at 87 are been increased for that month this year, as you can see. And that's one of the things that the guys really want to concentrate on this year is to try and get the number up. The overtime usage you see is down from last year and the month, and also down quite a bit over the year. 14,000 about from last year's overtime usage. Alarms are 46 for the month. That includes 20 fire alarms. I've asked them to start putting fire alarms in there as well as our residential and commercial. We had 5 residential and 21 commercial. That's within the averages as well for what we get per month. No particular location is.
Now these fire, that's false alarm. It's false alarm.
Yeah, those would all be false alarms. So I don't think we've had any actual fires.
Old systems.
Chief Huggins, do you know of any location that's really given us a trouble on the fire alarms that we have 20? I didn't have it with that.
24 Dorsey Mill. We've had numerous, in the last month, numerous times over there. Is that shown on your list?
I just know we had 20 for the month, and that's kind of.
What's at
Tall
that address,
number.
do you know?
That's right behind the substation, that single story
It's a
Oh,
assisted living home.
assisted living, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, I believe it was room 24. Now, yeah, it's 24 Dorsey Mill, but I'm trying to think whatever. They were, over the course of several days, they were there half a dozen times. I know I was there twice on different days, but yeah.
Faulty alarm, or are they doing this?
Well, yeah,
manually?
there was an alarm that just kept activating. They were supposed to come in and fix it, and my understanding was they did, and it still continued to go off for a couple different days, so.
Do they fall within the false alarms ordinance as well?
Any place
so
in the
they're
city
gonna get
that
charged?
has a faulty alarm that after, basically after a couple times.
Yeah.
Yes.
Do you guys then get called out and have to run, or at least start running on each of these?
We get a report of a possible structure fire, or alarm activation, and we have to treat it as such and run the cavalry in. There's 3 different pieces of equipment coming when we get an activation like that. So
After the, say, two-time grace period, then you charge them for the run, or what do you do?
we don't personally do that. The stats goes, whoever's keeping tabs on that. Now, if it's a continual thing, Mayor, sometimes I know we were doing instead of rolling New York City and Station 2, we would just cancel it and Station 1 would handle the call. Lowe's for a while had some
Okay.
faulty detectors up on the roof, so,
We'd go
So-
check it and see if there wasn't anything.
yeah.
Sometimes those actually can be difficult to track down. I know even in our system, you know, it's just, I mean, I think as long as they're being proactive and they're.
You mean what's causing the
They're being
false
diligent
alarm?
in trying to get it done and are trying to get someone there to repair it. They're at the mercy of their alarm company or, not alarm company, the installer, whoever puts it in. And I know sometimes it seems like it's like a needle in a haystack.
Before I quit, took management at Elder Beerman, I answered all the alarms at night. We got to the point we was getting, all of ours were involved, mostly police.
Mm-hmm.
And the manager or the district manager told me, he says, find out from some of your alarm people, or some of your responders, how many times, So then we called, AT, the alarm company.
ADT?
And, he told us, he says, most of your local alarms was installed when the mall was, a lot of them.
Wow.
And he says they're outdated
Yeah.
and they're just bad shape, and so they put out a contract, and we got a new system. I don't know how much you get now from all the agreement, but before I left there, I wasn't getting any.
Oh, no, we don't, we very seldom get anything over.
Because it was coming to a point that, what he was saying, to get somebody to come in and fix it, the repair was costing more than the system.
Mm-hmm.
So they just said, well, we'll put a new system in, or whatever it needs, for this amount, and they did, and it didn't correct their problem.
Let me ask this too. Chief Huggins mentioned a minute ago, you guys aren't tracking or billing off of it. Is that a police department function, or is that function not being done?
I'll have to check with Lisa. I don't know if she's billing on fire alarms as well as the other type of alarms.
Okay.
And, I'll check the ordinance and see, make sure that those type of alarms are covered. Purpose behind the ordinance is to identify those places that are troublesome with their alarms and, find them, and then, which the fines aren't tremendous. I mean, they're small. I think they start around $25 to celebrate, but what we were seeing is we had some places that just, the police were gonna respond and didn't take any steps to repair or fix those
Yeah.
alarms. And we were spending an inordinate amount of time answering
Yeah.
calls to their location.
Yeah, that makes sense. If
So
nothing
this kind
else,
of-
but to get people to fix their
Exactly.
systems.
It does get
So,
their attention.
Yeah.
I'll do some checking on that and see if we do. I'm inclined to think she probably does not handle the fire alarm, but I'll make sure. I don't think traditionally we have, but I've asked her to start including in these reports because there was some reports, I don't know if I was talking to Mark or Huggins or one of the other guys that said that they had some alarms popping up more than normal, so. I'll do some checking on that. I know
Yeah,
as
that
far
would
as
be
the
a-
residential and commercial stuff, we do bill.
So
Back
is
when
it-
Becky McComb and some of them were, we were running things more through Heath Police, we would actually, I'd call them and tell them this is a chargeable offense or whatever when we had problems, but since it's gone through county fire, I don't know what they're doing.
Well, that was my next question
they-
is,
Yeah.
who is informed that it is a false alarm? Are our dispatchers informed, or does that information come from county dispatch, or how do we get that information that a fire alarm was actually a false alarm?
I don't know.
Many times they'll call
True.
us and say, be advised, they're testing the alarm system, be advised, which after, you're arriving on the scene.
Yeah.
And that is something that they're required to call in ahead of time. or
Before they do
whatever.
that.
Yeah, and that just doesn't happen very often.
Our criteria is if we respond and it was determined to be, we weren't called ahead and it was a test, we're gonna charge them. Because we responded, we took our time.
Yeah.
So that's chargeable. If they call us en route and say, hey, we accidentally tripped the alarm and cancel us, we don't put that on the list. But if we get there and we determine that it's a false alarm, that's a chargeable alarm.
Okay.
And we don't do it like during storms and things like that, lightning storms where it causes alarms to go off.
Yeah.
If it's weather related, we don't charge you that. those.
Gotcha.
Our alarms are Elder Beerman, that the company, our company called, and whenever, first thing when they contacted me, they'd say, you have to respond, because this is a, what do you call those? Where people's walking around, it detects them walking
Motion
around.
A motion detector.
Yeah, motion detector, but some of the other stuff in the fire, they says, you can go, but don't rush, you know.
Uh-huh.
But I think they're the ones that sets the priority, don't they? They belong to
What's
the
that,
alarm
the-
company?
The fire you mean, or the
Well,
alarm
whether it's
company
fire
sets
or
a
police, either
priority?
one, I think the alarm company sets the priority on.
Well, yeah. And of course, depending on if they're getting a trouble alarm or they're getting an actual fire alarm activation. And it depends on whether it's a smoke detector, a
Yeah.
rate of rise heat detector,
Motion.
whatever. You know, this is a smoke, but they also make a heat that more indicates that you've got something burning. Things to look at too, we used to run.
As much as
back-
hot air there is in this room sometimes, though, we'd be tripping out.
Good thing it's not it's not a BS detector, it'd be going off right now.
On the fire alarms,
You're
there's some
safe.
kind of
Yeah.
dust that accumulates in those
Oh, yeah.
industrial
It'll set
buildings.
'em off, too.
And that dust indicates that it's a fire
Really?
to some of the alarms, some kind of, I forget what gas he told me, you know, it's,
Yeah.
I wouldn't know now anyway.
Geez, do
But
a
you
little,
get
do a
a-
little bit more homework on that, and
I'll take a look at the fire alarms and see where we're at with that, what we're doing, what we could do better.
Okay.
If we get a food burnt in a microwave, you know, we run on a lot of break room activations and things, we don't consider that a false alarm. It did what it was
Yeah.
supposed to do.
Yeah.
And 24 Dorsey Mill, we do have one client over there that does burn popcorn and such in the microwave quite often.
Uh-huh.
So you just write that one off. But we used to have, back when drug emporium was in the city, you could almost set your watch by it when our city water pumps would kick in.
Oh.
There would be a surge in the water main and the flapper and the sprinkler alarm system, and then we'd get dispatched on a flow alarm on the fire system.
Yeah.
But it ended up being, you know, those need to be fine tuned and such. So anyway, it's,
Yeah, there's
we
only
have to
one
treat it
time
as a
that
real
we went
thing
up
now.
there
I just
in
wanted
the
to find out
policeman,
maybe
we had to, we found the intruder, and then we got cornered, it was skunk, got get on the dock. And man, you know, you don't do no good what you've got, you know, we just hid until somebody come and open the door, so we get rid of the rest, because we couldn't move it.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Personal,
Thank you.
excuse me. Family leave, an officer's off on family leave last year. That's great, that.
All right.
Timeframe, so, anyway, we'll do that, and there are places like my wife, she thinks that the smoke alarm is her kitchen timer, so.
Let's include that in a minute.
Oh.
Yeah.
She knows, she knows. On our progress to Marks, we did get 2 radios, 2 handhelds programmed for Marks on our new Marks frequency. We've been testing them around. The results have been pretty positive. There's just been some issues. The news was the high school is covered, but the mall is spotty, and some of the other places inside have been spotty. So the penetration in the Marks system in buildings, you know, might show us some problems.
When you
But we
say,
have that with our current system at times too.
When you say the high school, do you mean the high school and the middle school, or just the new high school building?
Well, I told them to go through the compound of both buildings, and the response I got was positive that they were able to walk around the building and get through, and they could communicate using the Marks.
Okay.
So that area is good. Garfield had some dead spots. I believe we've been in Stevenson yet, and the mall had dead spots, but
What do you do with that?
currently we still have that.
What do you do with that?
We'd have to
Can you-
find some workarounds. We could work with the school system on getting some boosters inside the building. We
Okay.
currently have a booster inside the high school building for our current system,
Oh,
because
okay.
our current system has some dead spots in the high school, but the Mark system would be fine.
Okay.
Chief, do you want to do you want to try to test in, like some of the Port Authority, owned buildings and, places like that?
That's our plan, is to continue testing so we can pre-identify that. We're still having our goal of using our marks frequency come January time.
Okay.
It all depends on how quickly I can get our programmer in there to program the remainder of our radios into that. Of course, we had to buy a few new ones. We bought a portable radio for each of the school buildings, so the principal has control of that. And we've purchased a radio that they're going to be putting into a emergency network system that they're purchasing through a grant. That's going to put, I think he said, 3 PCs inside each school building that will be able to trip this emergency alert program, and it'll send a pre-programmed distress signal out from that school on our Marks channel to us. So they'll be talking directly, and they'll be able to look, and each school will get 3 places that they can trip that off from.
3 different locations
3
in the
different
building?
locations, but the system actually needed one of our radios to put inside of it to work. So that'll be in the works for next year. I don't know how quickly they'll get their equipment, but they'll be able to do that as well. Plus, I thought, we debated whether radios or this system would be best. And, I was talking with the superintendent, and I said, why don't we just do both? So I'll get some radios, and we'll give you a radio for each principal to have. That way, if they need to be, if it is a bad situation, they can be in contact on the move with us, because those PCs, you can't pick them up and move them. Once you
Sure.
send out that, and
Yeah.
you can get, that individual can give us some clarification and constant updates immediately. Immediately we'll talk on that.
Chief, you say you got the dead spots in these schools, and the cost to, who picks that up? Do we pay that? Does the school system, do they pay, how does that, I know it's not free, they're not gonna give it to you free, I don't think.
No, we would have to sit down with the school superintendent and negotiate how
Okay.
we're gonna do that. If it's a
Okay.
shared cost or what we can do to get it done.
Okay.
It's not an exorbitant amount of money
Yeah.
to get a booster put in, but it would be a significant cost that we need to sit down and talk about. I mean, we're not talking $20,000.
No.
It might be $5,000 a school building. It sounds like we don't need one in the high school, middle school, but we might need it in the
Okay.
elementary.
We need more. Whatever you have to do, because it's crazy,
You're pretty good on the exterior part, like if you're in an exterior room by a window, I think generally those places you can get in. So as you walk towards the center.
Down the hall.
When you're underneath all that steel and concrete,
Yeah.
you have some blocking problems, which is like in the mall, some of those places you see, you have the big open
Yeah.
ceiling and the skylights. Generally, you can do well there, and you can do well in the anchor stores around doors and windows, but as you walk towards the center, where you have heavy steel and lots of
Yeah.
stuff overhead and concrete, is where you lack. And we'll be working with those locations on that. I think we had an exercise with the mall this year, and their security people indicated that if we're going to Marks, that they would probably, step forward and get a booster for us, or work with us towards getting a booster for that system in here. And we do provide a radio to mall security as well in our system, so we would be giving them a radio to work with again, so.
The radio is so they can communicate. They will be able to communicate with the radio.
They'll be able to.
In an emergency, they can do that.
Yes.
And then the computers to trigger the system.
It's like an alert.
It's like an alert system similar to what
So
we use.
if they can't grab the thing, and say, hey, that's kind of.
Like you come on the telephone,
right?
No, it's not something they can speak into, it'll
Right.
be something they can type
Yeah.
Which
and
would
send
have
out,
all-
okay.
or they could also have a pre-destined, whatever, come help us now, or whatever. So they don't have to type it all out, they can just hit a button and send that message out. I don't know exactly how it works, but it's similar to the system that.
The all-call type
The all-call
thing.
that we have for the telephones, it's all pre-programmed.
Okay.
But yet you can type a message in, And it's more than radio. I think they can do text, radio, and phone with this, so they can send out a pretty good blast.
Yeah.
Just
On our
activate the
call
system.
log,
Just activate the system.
on our all-call system, you can type in a message, like, a message can either be, a phone message, can either be recorded, or you can type it, and then some computer voice, you know, would be what you heard when you pick up the phone.
But we've been training with the schools and their staff all year long. We've had multiple training with them and the officers, working on these active shooter scenarios and planning and getting everything ready. Just in case there's been lockdown drills, there's been active shooter drills. We've been familiarizing ourselves with all the ins and outs of the buildings, testing different things. So Sergeant Ream heads that up with them. He's doing an excellent job, and the superintendent's doing an excellent job because he really wants to be prepared and have a really good plan of action in case something ever happens. And knock on wood, it never does. But it seems like you pick up the newspaper every day. There's been some other tragedy. So pre-planning is paramount in these situations. So working with them has been nice, and working with them all too.
Chief, if it'll be of assistance to you, I can, let me know if you'd like for me to reach out to Rick Platt. We can maybe work on getting you into the Horton building, getting you into the Boeing building. I'm sure the Boeing building would be difficult.
Boeing building will be difficult, and I don't know, I've been into the bowels of that building, and it goes deep.
Uh-huh.
So
4 stories up and 4
testing in
stories
that
down.
building, I can tell you without even going in there, there's gonna be very, very limited. There's currently very limited on what we currently use
Yeah.
on that system. So that large building and some of the other large buildings they have, there definitely would need a booster system of some type if they want us to be able to speak
Yeah.
and communicate, because it's just a labyrinth.
Yeah. And a
Just
lot
lots
of
of
steel in there.
Lots of steel, lots of concrete. It's quite a castle there. Most of it's probably different parts of it, but it's pretty extensive. So-
I'll call Rick if you'd like for me to, see what we can do.
And as I was speaking to you, in the future, when we are looking at plans for new buildings, any new building, especially these industrial buildings, I know we don't wanna do anything to turn people away, but we almost need to start planning, say, for here, we're gonna need you to have a booster. I think that Chief Huggins has said that it's state fire code required that if they need a booster, they have to put it in at their cost, it's not a cost to the city. So we need to start exploring that. That should be something in future construction that large buildings should require them to put that booster system in.
You get a chance, try to find out where exactly in the fire code that is, like, so we can cite it if we need to. Because I think that, Chief Mason and I were talking about this earlier today. It would seem logical to me that if you were to put a system like that in place, it would probably be cheaper to do so as just planning it as part of the building plan, as opposed to trying to retrofit it afterward to make it work. Obviously that would, like Chief said, that would increase the cost of the building a little bit, but if we can help steer them toward the idea of getting it in place as they're building the building, it'll reduce that cost. Plus, it'll give them a better opportunity then to recoup that when they set up whatever lease agreement or whatever it is with a business that would occupy the building. It shouldn't have that big of a negative impact if those are the kind of dollars that we're talking about. That's a drop in the bucket compared to some other things when you're building a 50,000 square foot manufacturing building.
And when you're talking about those buildings, you're only talking several $1,000s maybe to do it right.
Yeah.
At that point.
Under 10,000?
Yeah.
Amortized over 20 years in a $1 million building, that's.
Relative to the total cost of the building.
That's a drop in the
You
bucket.
know, they may, I don't know, if you look at, there may be insurance savings for them for having that, it may be a deductible expense, I mean, there's other things to explore on that well, but we really need to do that. And like I said, like you said, to retrofit something, go back in and have it done after the building's complete is gonna cost more, because you're gonna be dealing with finished walls, finished ceilings, they'll be running wires, they'll be getting it'd just be much easier to do it and make it part of the planning of the structure.
Yeah.
John, the Boeing complex used to have a passive antenna system back when they were using our 800 system.
Really?
Yeah.
That's interesting.
Yeah, their former chief Decker, that was employed by Boeing, and they had their little fire brigade there on site, had installed a passive antenna system up on the roof of Building 4, so you may have better reception there than you think. It may have to be tuned to your 800
We'd have to
Mark's
go in and take a
frequencies,
look.
but, yeah, but there was something there.
We'd have to go take a look and see what they installed. I would think the antennas and the wiring and all that would be good, but the booster or whatever they're using themselves won't be Mark's capable. And it may not, it's probably not working. If it was installed before this new system we went to and it was on the old system, probably isn't working on this one either. Because this is a digital system, and the other one, the old one, when we replaced in 2007, the radio system, that's a digital system. The old system was analog, so any booster they would have would have been an analog booster, and analog digital would talk to each other. So, but if they did run antennas and wiring, that's just buying a new booster and popping it in place, which even lowers the cost. That's just
Yeah, their security.
Yeah.
What head of their security? That branch, it'd probably be more effective to talk to them than it would be to Rick Flag.
They have a little communication center there in their security area.
Right.
That it was probably all set up for.
The
That's
higher
probably
the
what it
frequency,
was.
less problems you have, as your frequency goes back down on certain spectrums, that's when you start having problems.
Penetration problem.
Well, the problems we get now with our radio systems, when you
What do you
go-
know about that stuff, Cletus?
He's
taught it.
right about that. The new radio systems, the reason that you have problems with penetration inside buildings is these radios work more like a cell phone. So if you're in somewhere and you're watching your signal strength on your cell phone, you're great outside, you can take 2 steps inside a building and it drops drastically. That's what these are. They're very pinpoint, whereas the old radios transmitted like a shotgun blast. The new radios transmit like a rifle shot. So it's more what you might call point to point. And that's why it goes down so much. That's why the older frequencies, actually the older technology works better for situations like that and less expensive, because you don't have to add the boosters and whatnot. You just beef up how you're transmitting and give it more wattage.
Yeah.
But that's exactly what the government is trying to get rid of, because of all the different frequencies that everything uses now. Wi-Fi's frequency, your cell phones are frequencies, everything is radio frequencies, so they want it all to be narrow so that you don't get cross interference.
You
The
get
old
built-
radio systems, you could hear people talking at night down in Dayton on our
Yeah.
radio up here.
You get buildings like Boeing's, all your concrete is super reinforced.
That too.
And that's metal crisscrossed, and that's even bigger blocker on some frequencies.
Well described, Chief, just like I'd expect out of an officer.
What's that?
Like a shotgun or like a bullet?
So, it's kind of an easy way to explain it.
Then on
That's
the
the way they
missile
explained it to me
stuff,
in the advance.
all of this stuff has to have good frequencies, they float it in they call it an orthogonal manner, where you've got 3 axes going all the time. And most all of your frequencies can interact with one of those orthogonal lines. Because you think about it, when your missile's going, you've got to monitor your movement in every direction.
Triangulate.
And so that's why they have to use the orthogonal technology. make sure that they can pick up any frequency, you know, or that spectrum that they're using.
All right, well, Chief?
No legislative requests, and that's all I have.
Any questions for the chief? Ronnie?
About the alarms, what's the grace, and is that per month or over a certain period? The false alarms?
It goes for a year, I believe, and the first two are forgivable, and after that, they begin getting charged for their false
But
alarms.
annually? Okay.
Hey,
Yes, sir.
before you get off of, police, I wanted to tell Mark, I was getting my last chemo last Tuesday, and there was a big tall gentleman there. And he starts talking about the Heath Police Department, how good they are. And he's a patrolman out here at the Grand Patrol, so I was telling John about it. And he said he'd put our police force up against any in the state for his knowledge and being policemen.
Wow.
So
That's
I was
high
quite
praise.
impressed with him.
Yeah.
I told him, I said.
Did you said he was
He's
highway
got
patrol?
he's got cancer the same as mine, you know, in his stomach, and they kind of put us together.
Mhm.
I can't remember his name, because I can't remember nobody's name. That's why the good Lord give us the word honey when we forget our wife's name. Fall back on honey, yeah. But he is,
Well, that's good
he's
to
a good
hear.
policeman himself, you know. and
Yeah.
But I thought, and I told him, and he says, anytime you guys, you know, especially you and the patrolmen are out, just stop in the post out there. He says, we like to talk to good people. I thought that was
Thanks for
impressive.
sharing. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's high praise.
Anybody else?
Maybe
Ronnie?
one more,
Okay.
and it's for the chief.
Sure.
If you were responding to a call like what they had out in California this past week, would it be better or worse if there were like citizens that were armed there?
Well, the whole problem between an armed citizen and the bad guy, how are we gonna tell the difference who's the good guy and who's the bad guy at that point?
Yeah.
You know, if it's a police officer, you having a badge or some identification that's visible. But if we see two guys with guns, how are we gonna differentiate? So it could, you know, at that point become a problem. Armed citizens, the carry-go arm should pre-plan and get the proper training so that they know. Of course, if you're carrying legally and you need to defend yourself, you're going to. But when they see the police arriving, they should know what tactics that they should then begin
Would you please?
to take to make sure that they're not confused with the bad guys. Hands up, you know, take cover, hide, run, you know, scream at the top of your lungs, I'm a good guy. Hide that gun, you're good, whatever. But
Yeah.
they do train, like when you take the courses in Ohio, concealed carry, that's one of the things that, one of the topics that they touch on, your interactions with police and how you should act. Yeah, it's gonna be difficult for a police officer to determine who's good and who's bad. But generally, police officers are gonna verbalize and issue a warning prior to shooting unless somebody's on shooting. Or they need to save somebody's life.
I didn't hear where it was, because I don't hear bits and pieces of the news, but I heard on the news this morning, there was a situation where a hostage was shot and killed by the police, but he was running out of the building and he had a gun. But he was a hostage and they didn't know, and then.
Yeah, I hadn't heard that, but.
I don't know where it was, because I said I just.
Wow.
He was a hostage and he had a gun?
He was hostage and he was running out, and they said you should put the gun down, he kept running, and they killed him.
Well, you gotta consider, we gotta make a decision in a
Right.
fraction of a
Split second.
second.
Yeah.
I know
Somebody
one-
running towards you with a gun,
Yeah.
I know on one occasion, our dispatcher, I guess it was our dispatcher, the company, the alarm company called me and they said, Henry, you'll have to go in by yourself because the police has a higher priority. And we give them permission, so he said they won't be answering because come find out they had a bad accident, you know, they had to be in. So, and somebody, either dispatchers or the company, sometimes puts a level of necessity on the calls too. So I would just go in and check if there's any fire and nobody was there and call them and say, clear it off and then see if it comes again and then they'd wipe it off.
Was it a fire alarm or a burglar alarm?
It was a burglar because they
By
called the
the way,
police
so
on
they
it.
cleared the other scene.
Yeah, I never did carry a gun, but I don't know how they do now, you know. I never did carry a gun, because usually it was.
Anything else? Okay.
Thanks, Chief.
Move on at 6:04. Chief Huggins, the floor is yours.
Sir, you would, you could pass these down in the event. Okay. November statistics, as you can see, 55 fire. We're down, what, a total of 6 fire calls for the year versus last year. Our EMS is up considerably. We had 162 EMS calls for the month of November. And transports, 83 compared to 75, but as you can see, our transports are up considerably over the previous year, 977 to 1,059, so. Mutual aids, 35 given, 48 received.
That 48 number seems like a high number, right?
We were talking about that earlier. I had 46 from the county, and I had them run a check with the computer today on our calls. Just make sure and it come up two more, but on a fire call, many times we're gonna get Hebron and maybe New York City, so a single call, we may have 2 or 3. And if we're tied up and they're dispatching, our equipment's tied up on an auto accident or whatever, we get a fire call to the mall or whatever, you may get 3 different fire departments coming in from different locations, and that counts as 3 mutual aids. I don't count it as a single call, I'm just documenting how many times Hebron, Grandville, the area departments come in to help us.
From the information that you got from County Fire on the mutual aids received, do you think that the majority of those were fire or were they EMS? What was the nature of them for the most part?
There was more EMS than there was fire.
Okay.
Looking at them, but then quite a few were motor vehicle accidents where they were coming and helping us. Now, I looked at what were we getting out of the city of Newark. If we were getting a medic, I was counting it as an EMS call. If we were getting a rescue, I counted that as a fire call. But there were still more EMS calls than fires on this. Most of the time, it's more fire calls.
Does Newark run a squad and a fire truck on calls outside of Newark? You know how inside Newark, when they have a medic call, they also roll a truck? Do they do the same thing outside the city, or do they just roll a medic?
Depends on the circumstance, but sometimes they'll roll their battalion and a medic unit and a fire apparatus in here to give us a hand on a call. Depends on what's available and such, but many times we're just getting the EMS unit.
And so if there was more than one, would that still just be one call?
Yeah,
Okay.
I wouldn't count that as 3, it's just the responding department.
Okay.
Legislative requests, I have one. Brian, we had, I think I mentioned it last time, donation. We had an individual give us a $25 check, as well as the American Girl doll that the Heath Garden Club sold raffle tickets on to help us with the Lucas device. They made $510 and gave that to us. So we got a total of $335.
$535.
$535. The other was a private donation from one of the garden club members.
Oh.
She and her husband gave us a $25 donation. Did you, those go in the mail, you know, did you sign any?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. Yep.
gentleman's gonna mail this, so the
Yeah.
thank yous are in the mail.
Yep.
Good, good, yep.
And all I'm requesting is that, that $535 come out of the general fund and go over to the fire fund. Okay if I purchase the Lucas device, you know, we got the $5,000 donation from Energy Co-op, the $535 from the Garden Club, and I do have the remainder in my budget this year, and
I think we should. I mean, those things are fantastic.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So,
Or
very
you got
good.
the money, you don't need our approval.
Earl's just
You got-
kind of been
oh,
chomping at the bit,
You've
so.
already got the money, haven't you?
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Spend it. Get it.
So we have one Lucas device now. This will be
We
the
have
second.
one, and this will put the second one on the other at Station 2,
Yeah.
on the medic. Right now, we're carrying just a single unit in Truck 7, and it's running depending on the location, but this will
Yeah.
keep us from having to haul it around.
How long does it take you to get one?
Probably 2 weeks or less. So,
Good.
very good. That'll be taken
Seems
care
like
of.
the holiday period, there's, seems
Ho,
like
ho,
there's a
ho.
No, I know, but don't you?
What do you think, Santa?
Did you call me out?
Chief, don't
No,
you
I
find
did
that,
not.
or am I wrong?
I'm
That
sorry?
During the holiday period, it seems like there is kind of a boost in, you know, heart problems and things that happen. I thought somewhere I read where they said that there's a tense time between Thanksgiving and
Yeah, people
first
more
of the year.
stressed.
It's just, you know,
Stress and suicide, I mean, there's a lot of things with the holiday season or whatever.
Like
The weather's
Friday,
colder.
Mr. Cuffs, literally.
Alcohol poisoning? Oh, wait.
So get, I think you ought to get it as quick as you can.
Very good. Okay.
Chief, on those Lucas devices, is there is that one of those things where there's also an annual maintenance, like
Yes.
upkeep fee or something like that, or is that?
That's something that Mayor wanted me to tell you that, because we really don't discuss it, and so many things have got maintenance fees on them anymore. That Lucas device has got, and when I purchased the first one, it was a one-time deal that you could buy the maintenance agreement, and it wasn't a steal, that's for sure. They wanted $5,200 for a 4-year maintenance agreement on that. But that was about a $900 discount over and above, but you had to take it out at the time. And they just said that there's a lot of gears, and you know, we paid $4,200 plus for our heart monitors annually, and we have maintenance agreements on a lot of things. The cots, after the 2-year warranty, though, there's gonna be maintenance on our hydraulic cots that we got, but anyway, yes, there is a maintenance agreement, and it is quite expensive, but
How much is the thing new?
the Lucas device runs a little over $13,000.
So our maintenance fee is about half.
The maintenance agreement.
Well, that's spread over 5 years, though, right? Isn't that what you said?
It's 52 for a 4-year deal.
Yeah. So it's a little more than a third of the cost of it spread out over a 5-year period. Now, do these Lucas devices only last for 5 years,
No.
or do they?
No,
Okay.
it's just keeps.
And is it one of those
That was
deals?
the guarantee, wasn't it, 5 years?
I would assume they have to be calibrated to make sure that they're given the proper amount of
Mhm.
beats per minute and everything, and that they stay calibrated and, you know, in working order, because if you're not getting the proper impressions, it's not gonna help. But
Yeah.
I've talked to Chief Huggins, and I know they've already had successful
Oh, yeah.
deployments of the machines.
Yeah,
Might
absolutely.
already-
Well, the Lucas
already
is
saved
not
some
the-
lives
Really?
since they've gotten the first one.
It's the automatic compression
Oh,
when you're
chest
instead of
compression. No, they-
CPR.
Well, if they're going down the steps or whatever, they don't,
Right.
that thing's
Once
still
you put it
pumping.
on,
I
there's
was
no
thinking
interruption
that-
of
that
compression,
machine,
so
the
blood
80
pressure is maintained, and, yeah, survivability is dramatically
Yeah.
improved.
What,
Just straps on the
Is
chest.
that one of those deals then, Chief, where they come in every year, check it out,
Same guy.
raise it up, check, make sure it's working right,
Yes.
and certify it?
Yeah, once or twice a year, and of course, with that, if there is a problem with it, Pete lives over in Worthington and, can come over and address it. same day or next.
I just, you know, while we're on this thing about checking things and, report or, you know, maintenance on them, I know there's a lot of places who now have the defibrillators hanging on a wall, you know, where you know, in high schools and different buildings. Do they have to be
You're talking about
calibrated,
AED.
or, you know, do they have to be calibrated every once in a while, or?
They have the ones that you have hanging here that the Sertoma purchased, and the ones that we carry, Earl Miller's been working, and we've been buying reconditioned, for about a third the cost of a new one, and we've got them in all of our units now. But yes, they periodically, with the new American Heart Guidelines, they may have to be reprogrammed down the road, depending on if the CPR sequence is changed. But usually batteries have to be replaced. They self-analyze themselves daily and go into an alarm status if there's a problem with them. Those that
Really?
you've got hanging in the
Wow.
back of City Hall, as well as the police department, if there's a problem with the battery, if the gel on the pads dries out, or if there's a mechanical problem, it'll self-alert you or whatever. The one at City Hall I have maintained out of our budget, and changed the pads and the batteries periodically. We're up here, and John's taking care of theirs. At police department, you have multiples, and you have one in each cruiser, don't you?
Right, and we have to keep up on the batteries and the shock pads, and make sure we have ones that are good and up to date, and they haven't gotten brittle or decayed in any way, shape, or form. The batteries do have to be replaced, and the companies that issue these out, they don't lose track of you either. They've got a point of contact at each department. Zoll is one of the companies we use. They'll send you emails reminding you of doing things. They'll tell you, you know, it's been 2 years, probably need to check your batteries if you haven't. You know, so they keep up with you, and we've had to do software, firmware upgrades on them, where the standards have changed of how many compressions they want per minute, or not compressions, about how much
The shock
shocks,
sequence
you know,
and
the
how
shock
many and
sequence
such.
and how it works, and we've had to, you know, they'll send us a CD, and we pull them out, and you have to buy the tool to upgrade them.
I
they
maintain the
stay
York
up on it.
Eagles, the
Yeah.
Heath Police, and it's just a matter of plugging them in sometimes to a laptop, or I was using my desk computer, spin a disk and reprogram them to whatever the latest greatest is. The ones PD has got, interesting that they're the cheapest battery replacement and a set of pads, about $108. I know just the battery in my scientific cardiac science make, the battery's about $350 on it. It's a 5-year lithium, whatever, and the last time it went bad, it was still under warranty, so they set me a free battery. So, been cost savings, but anywhere from $50 to $100 for a set of electrodes. But you get 2-3 years out of those or whatever. And as I said, they're maintenance free. You don't have to hang them on a wall and plug them into the wall or whatever that. So it's pretty good. You know, whatever it's always expensive, but it's still, if it saves one life, and they have,
A lot of your
it's worth it.
equipment now, your last thing we put, just like John says, the calibration of them is the most important thing. Because most of them has a fail-safe system. If there's a battery low, it won't even turn on for you or stuff like that, you know. But the calibration is very, very, very important. The guy across the street from me, that's what he does over Mount Carmel Hospital.
Any other? Yeah.
Chief, I have a question. On that March device, how does the system know if the patient regains a normal heart rhythm? I mean, is there a monitor built into it, or?
No.
The Lucas.
No.
So how does it know to quit giving compressions? It's up to you guys to see if that
Yes.
they're on a monitor, they say they regain that rhythm? Turn the
To
thing
my
off.
knowledge, once you start it, you have to manually shut it off. Of course, we're also gonna have electrodes, and they're gonna be tied into
So
the
you're
heart
gonna-
monitor, defibrillator and such, because, as part of the sequence, every 2 minutes, you're gonna defibrillate, that patient stuff.
So
So
that
you
thing-
will, you'll
You're
see
watching.
pace spikes or compressions, but yeah, they'll be watching the monitor.
So
It just
basically, if
frees
they
up a set of
regain it, You gotta
hands.
shut that thing off.
And yeah, you would shut it off and monitor them and make sure they're maintaining, there's a form of cardiac arrest, it's called EMD or electrical disassociation, whatever, that the heart appears to be beating.
But
It
it's out
is,
of
but
rhythm.
mechanically it's not.
It's out of rhythm.
Fibrillation.
Well,
yeah,
not, that's
defibrillation.
defibrillation, but, as I said, the electrical
Yeah.
impulses are going, but the muscles are not contracting and firing or whatever, but you look at, and it looks like a perfect heartbeat on the heart monitor, but immediately you start chest compressions for somebody like that. So anyway, somebody asked about the price of a Lucas, and this is what we paid for the first one, $13,654. So, not cheap, but money well spent. So we've got that taken care of. As you can see, wage-wise, about the same. Overtime higher than last year, but we're still down considerably less overtime than the previous year. Under equipment, Tower 10, yeah, we've spent a lot of money too this year, but Tower 10, while we had it down fixing that waterway, they told me that it required, there was things that needed to be checked on it that we have not checked, and they have equipment.
Preventive maintenance.
Preventative maintenance, that's correct.
PM.
That was a $2,500.
Where's it at, or where's it getting this preventative maintenance at?
It's already been done, it was done up here.
McConnellsville, where do you?
No, we didn't take it to McConnellsville, they actually came up here and did it. But they have to put, they put weights on the cables and torque them. They actually pulled the ladder boxes and such out and crawled up inside and torqued all the big bolts for the rotator, the big ladder and such. And I mean, they went over it from top to bottom,
Just down to
lubricated
stern.
things. That's what their concern was. There was some rust, and they said, yeah, this really needs to be, and it's just stuff Bob isn't that familiar
Sure.
with or whatever. He does a good job, but, so anyway, we did it. It's supposed to be done annually, and to my knowledge, this is the first time we've ever done it. I mean, we take care, you can run it down and have them lubricate cables and things. We've got the buckets and the sprays and all that, and we do all that ourselves. But they were concerned with some rust in the outriggers, and they thought they'd maybe galled and lock up at a fire scene and wouldn't be able to retract. So anyway, we put the money in and had it refurbed.
They got road service then.
I'm sorry?
They have a road service.
Yes.
Is that
Yeah.
a newer
Yeah,
service?
we utilize them when we can. It's just there are times that when we ran it down recently, it was just something that required work to be done down there. So they have the full array of everything that they needed. But whenever we can, we bring them up here and let them service things when they can, do repairs. So Tower 10 was taken care of. Medic 1 and 2. Medic 1, while it was getting jacked up on the wrecker before it made the trip to Johnstown when it quit running, I noticed how worn out the tires were. And so anyway, once we got it back, and we ended up putting 6 tires on it, and then we put front tires on Medic 2 over at Station 2. That Medic over at Station 2, it's got 90,000 plus miles on it. So I mean, we're logging a lot of miles, maybe around town and such. But anyway, number 3, the hot water tank. That's the one I've talked about. We've got the large hot water tanks. I finally called Houston because I had authorized them to do this couple months ago, and they misunderstood. So anyway, they're due in here on the 14th. We're going to do away with the 2 hot water 100-gallon plus, and we're going to 1 tankless. which in the long run, it's a $3,100 job, but they wanted 6,000 plus to replace the gas-fired boilers, and this should make a difference. And as I said, it's a commercial grade, 11.5 gallon a minute tankless hot water tank, so
That's nice.
it should provide plenty of hot water.
How long the warranties on that?
I'm sorry?
How long of a warranty you have?
Jeff, I'm not sure. They recommend servicing it at least once a year, and with our Heath water, as good as it is, it's still, those of you that have checked your plumbing at home or whatever, it doesn't, for some reason, it builds up quite. So about $200 once a year to come in and service this thing, but I can't tell you, to be honest, what the warranty is on that right now. And I know
At
it's
least
not on
1
the-
year, I assume.
Oh, yeah.
Natural gas or electric?
Is natural gas. And that price includes, of course, I'm running electric and venting and such. It vents out of with PVC plastic. And we've already got vents through the roof line and such because of these gas boilers. And that's basically, you get into those large hot water tanks, you've got expansion tanks and everything else with them, so they classify them as a boiler. Okay, equipment mounting on the rescue, I just put this question mark. The rescue truck committee, they're wondering about whether they buy the hardware. This wasn't something that was spec'd. There's some money, $1,000, $1,500 that they've got to play with. There's a company that actually will mount, but they haven't had a meeting and don't know yet, but they may be asking for money here, not too distant future, to have all the equipment mounted.
On the new,
On the new rescue, yeah.
What equipment are you, I mean?
Yeah, kind of explain, they've all seen the current rescues, so kind of explain to them what we're talking about.
Where you've seen the current rescue, but as far as all the hand tools, the hydraulic tools, and all, that's something, some of that, we used to be able to, we had Bob Walworth up at the tech center, and we could design something and they would make it.
Fabricate.
Uncle Owen was always very good to the fire departments in the county. Unfortunately, I saw Bob Saturday night, and Bob is retired after 50, I believe it was 54 years with Owens
Yeah,
Corning.
I was gonna say, he might have just tour duty there.
Yeah. But anyway,
You just send it back.
you know, the last
Probably
time, the
ready.
tower, the ladder truck, we bought hardware and we put the tools on ourselves. And that's something that can be done, but there is a company that does it, but it's not cheap either. And I'm saying it somewhere between probably $5,000 and $8,000 to mount this stuff. So they're gonna talk about it. They haven't had a meeting recently, and I don't know where it's going from here.
They feel they can do it.
I'm sorry?
They feel that they can do it?
Oh, I think,
Okay.
yeah.
Or do you think that?
Oh, I think they can do it. It's just,
Okay.
yeah.
But when they spec this rescue truck initially, that wouldn't have been part of the specs? Is
No.
that where they're locating all these different tools? I thought that was part of the whole
Yeah.
Well-
spec process of putting everything in a certain.
When you don't have a truck to, because this is different than the existing
Right.
truck that they've got, no, until they can measure compartments and things, but they'll have to kind of,
I think, Jeff, what I recall is, in looking at the specs with them, I know you looked at the specs on this thing too. I remember that they did, on the truck, the different compartments that were in the truck, I do think they had notes of, this type of gear could go here, that those type
yeah.
of things could go there.
Mhm.
I don't, but they did not spec out the process of building the shelves or putting in the hooks or whatever it would be to do that.
right, and it's just, it's kind of a
So
custom deal.
Yeah, like each department might, a group of guys together say, hey, we want it this way.
Well-
Maybe another fire station on down the road wants it another way. But-
Well, what I'm, and maybe what Jeff's wondering is,
Why wasn't it built into the spec?
you know, I mean, like, you know, you get a car, right? Sometimes you'll put in something aftermarket, sometimes, you know, you'll have it done, you know, right there on the assembly, you know, line. So is that the process of building out these compartments? Is that something that the manufacturer of this truck could do, or is this something that has to be done aftermarket, so to speak?
It's something, if it was cookie cutter, then it would be no problem and they could mount the stuff. But this is gonna be a custom setup, and because they were limited on space, they've got about every nook and cranny on the current rescue stuffed full of stuff. And some of it's riding in plastic buckets or whatever to bring it off chains, and some of they're gonna have a lot more space and such, and just, it's gonna be trial and error for a while. Seeing where everything's gonna go and what else they can add to this and all, so.
But the other $7,000 or $8,000, that's gonna fit into this overall, was it $550 budget, or was it total budget for this truck?
Oh,
525?
530 something?
It was 535, we
530.
put down, and we paid down, and we ended up paying like 513, so we had
So you've
$20,000
got
$22,000 in credit.
in the budget for
Yes.
that, okay.
Yeah. So, yeah, we saved some money by,
Yeah.
Jay, they've asked me, and I couldn't give them an answer, how is this set up? This was a 5-year plan, and what's the annual installment?
90 something?
Yeah.
I looked at that
90
number today, it's 90, almost 100, maybe 97.
Yes.
Yeah,
It was under 100, like
Yeah.
he said.
yeah,
That, and that being said,
yeah, something like that.
you had given me that piece of paper, we were talking here a while back, and how much was the levy supposed to bring in versus, what, we got a thing from the county auditor that said 1.6 million, and, I mean, that was much higher than, the levy that I recall when I talked to the auditor was gonna be at like about 275,000 a year. And we were doing our math one day, and the mayor's like, well, we're 300,000 less than what was being projected. And so, and I got that piece of paper from you
Yeah.
that said 1.6.
I think when you added the two together though, because there was two different fund lines, two different amounts on the funds, and when you added the two together, it ended up being like the 1.5 somewhere in there, does that, I don't know why it's ringing, but I'll have to go back and.
Becky.
I have that, I don't.
Becky McComb showed me a number today. I'm sure it's a rounded figure because it's a fairly even number, but she showed me a figure of 270 a year that we'll
Yeah.
get on Fire Levy 3.
I can't remember what the annual amount was on that form we talked about, but I know
Yeah, the form was a 1.6
it was based
million
on.
or whatever, and yeah, it's 271 and some change. That is what Becky had told me recently, and I think at the time, the auditor said it was gonna be around 275 when we talked about putting this levy on board. But when the 275 times 5 years comes up, what,
About
1.3?
1.3.
Versus the 1.6, and,
Right.
and in discussions one time, the mayor's like, whoa, wait a minute, we're 300,000. But the 2 engines, at least 2 EMS station vehicles, and the things that we were gonna buy, at least according to my figures, still should be able to be purchased.
We're okay.
Yeah,
Within
we're in good
1.3.
shape.
We're okay.
Within the 1.3.
Yeah.
Yes.
We're okay.
Have you looked into why the difference? Have you had a chance, somebody, Becky, you can't do that? or-
I didn't look into it, and to be honest with you, it's a moot point now. It is what it is.
Yeah, it is.
It is
That's
what
right.
it is.
Yeah, I'll get back to you because I did make a call.
Oh, did you? Okay.
And, I'll give you an answer. when-
So somebody's, they're collecting the money, so, right? Good, good.
2 point.
Okay.
Everything's an estimate. You gotta remember it's, I don't wanna say this wrong, but They give you that estimate, but it has to do with the values of the property, and they project, and then when they do their 3-year
Evaluation.
evaluations, if they don't come back as high, do some things of that nature.
But,
I'll get you a valid answer.
but ultimately, we will get what they collect.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah.
We're gonna
But
get
what
it.
we're
They
saying,
don't-
but
they
what
don't
we're
sell-
saying is that 270 a clip, it's gonna come
Yeah.
out to about 1.3 over the 5 years.
Right.
Not the
Six.
1.6.
Like 1.35 or
Yeah.
1.34 or whatever.
But at that, you still have the money to
Yeah.
get the.
We
What I
ran the
figured we could
numbers.
do, you should still be able to do.
Mm-hmm.
Unless they get crazy on EMS units, you know, I was figured 200,000 a pop, and I think you gave them a price tag of 180, whatever, but that may be,
Talk to
it may be
Jeff.
hard to
Right.
do it for 180, but they should be able to do it under 200,000.
Well, the thing of it is,
Fire
we're gonna
truck
get-
wise,
We're
Yeah.
gonna get two of, we're gonna get two of the dang on things. Hey, why shouldn't we get a break?
Well, I talked to, I talked to Captain McCord today, too, and, they're looking into the possibility. Okay, you know, on a medic, you got the box, you got the thing that moves the box,
Yeah.
right? The box is no problem. Where we have all our repair costs, for the most part, is the thing that moves the box.
Yeah.
So, what he's looking into is
Box up.
take the box off,
Put a new
put it on a
chassis.
new chassis, and roll. And that way, he's got to see if it would make much of a difference cost-wise, you know. But it would certainly reduce the maintenance costs,
Yeah.
because most of the maintenance costs are not on the box.
No.
It's on the chassis.
Chassis.
I did that one time, and we had nothing but electrical problems with it when I was at Hamilton, but,
Oh, is that right? Putting on
and
a
we,
new chassis?
we used to talk with Horton, Bill Bear, our salesperson, about doing that, and there really wasn't a significant savings.
Uh-huh.
But it's always, times change, and because you're going from a medium-duty chassis to a heavy-duty Ford or whatever, 550 chassis, there is some savings there, and so anyway, it's worth looking into.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Let's see, medic refresher going on December. We started today, 7th through the 9th, and then next week, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and
And Chief, is that everybody in the department?
not everybody is taking it. Some of us needed it. Some of them need a certain amount of hours. But no, not everybody, but the majority of the full-time staff, and a couple of the volunteers are taking it. Let's see, the rescue tool, all I can tell you is it is ordered, and that's about all I know about it. That's a replacement for the hydraulic rescue cutters and such.
Jaws of Life.
Jaws of Life, okay,
Yeah,
yeah.
this is Genesis, it's a different manufacturer, but
That's what
it's
it
a
is.
better and considerably heavier duty, and yeah, the tonnage and things as far as cutting capacities and things is dramatically improved versus our older stuff. I mentioned about the roofs being a mess, and it quoted you, I don't know, 3,000 to 5,000, whatever. We had a second gentleman that deals, a Morgan, and deals with,
I'm sorry, what was
his
it?
name was Morgan,
Oh, okay.
last name. But anyway, they came in, went up, looked, and all, something I never gave much thought to, but I have to agree with them. The boots and everything, we've got stacks, not only bathroom stacks, but vent fans and things like that have got rubber boots and seals that go through the perforations in the roof. And many of those, and I've been up on the roof and looked, are cracking. I've had Roger Weimer up there with a shovel and a bucket, shoveling dope or, caulking material into some of this stuff. And they're like, before we do anything to the roof, we really need to do this stuff. So, knock on wood, they're going to, it's a $1,900 job to have them replace all the boots and perforations and things through the roof line, and that was something that's gonna have to be done anyway. And then the price quote they gave us for painting, power washing, painting and all the rust spots was only $1,700 and some dollars. So we're still within the same price range and gonna have a much better roof than even I had anticipated. I never gave them
It's
a thought
better,
at the
it's
time.
better to do this now than later, is that what you're saying?
Well, the paint, you wanna wait till everything's dry and warm and such, but
Yeah.
yeah, this can be done anytime. Now, we called them a couple days ago and told them we'd like for them to do it this year if we can. That's just one less thing. We've got the money in the budget, and if we can get it done, it's something that doesn't move on to next year's budget, so. But, that being said, we're working on that. We've interviewed, and have completed our interviews for a new firefighter as we play monkey move up within the department. And, the ball's in the mayor's court, and you'll have to decide. We've all made our opinions be known, and, so he has to make that decision. And Spellman.
I mean, we had a process where we had, Captain Miller, Captain Kozlowski, Captain McCord, myself, Chief Huggins kind of observed. We had a list of prepared questions, which we've followed that type of a format. This was the first time that Bob had been
Captain
part of that
Kozlowski's been part of that, so
process.
yeah, it was good for him.
But we have followed that type of process before, and one of the people that we interviewed, we had actually interviewed previously with these processes. So Captain Miller did a good job of coming up with some new questions and some different scenarios that we talk about in that process in order to kind of freshen it up, given the fact that that somebody that we were talking to had been through the process before. So appreciate Captain Miller's work on modifying those questions and stuff.
And you went through all the interviews in there? Okay.
So, 2 out of the 3 actually were volunteers within our department.
Oh, okay.
So that's good, and of course, whenever the decision is made by the mayor, it'd be a short period of time to bring whoever up to speed, and like I said, we'll have them on board shortly.
There's a level of familiarity there that will allow their ramp-up time to be shorter.
Yeah.
You may have answered my question, I was just about to ask, you may not be able to elaborate. Did some of our volunteers maybe have the opportunity to be in that position?
Yeah, yeah, what we did, okay, you may recall, we entered, this was maybe a year and a half ago maybe, we entered into the consortium
Yes.
with Newark, with
Yeah.
West Licking, and there's one other agency.
Yeah, Madison Township,
Madison
Franklin
Town-
County.
Yeah, and so what they do is, they all go through the process of the written and physical fitness tests, and then you have a list. So that's the list that we're now able to work off of, and yeah, two of the 3 people that we interviewed, which all 3 of them were in the top 10 on the list. Some of the people on that list had jobs in other departments already and that kind of thing, but 2 of the 3 people that we interviewed were current volunteers in our department.
Good deal.
And
Who's
both are familiar with
moving
the
on,
equipment
Chief?
and the streets. I'm sorry?
This is because you're moving on?
Yes, sir.
Oh,
Yeah.
You won't leave.
Yeah, okay. January 15th is my last day with the city, so it won't be long. Yeah.
There's nothing to do.
Say nothing at all, yeah.
What'd you say the
I've
other
already-
day? Did
I'll
you get
tell
your
you-
application at Walmart to be a greeter or something? Is that
No,
what you said?
actually, I've had 2 people ask me to run for mayor.
Who was that, Dumb and Dumber?
Well, that's where he lives.
I'm sorry, I killed myself. But anyway.
That was funny, but it wasn't that funny.
Oh, I know, but, you know, I amuse myself. Anywho, Spellman due back December the 30th. Got a slip from the doctor, and so.
How's he feeling?
He's good. I got a slip for him. He's sitting in on this class. Of course, we're not doing anything physical, but yeah, he looks good. He's ready to come back now, but they're, got
He was
restrictions.
in 3 times a day.
I'm sorry?
I think he was in our office 3 times a day.
He looks
bored.
good. Timmy's gone, but, you know, his navel. but,
He had surgery on
He's got his shoulder, didn't it?
No, this was actually a umbilical or whatever. His navel had
Oh, an Audi.
Yes.
An Audi. I had one of them.
way outy.
Yeah.
So that's all I have. Any questions? Yes, Jeff.
The continuing saga over the back of Station 1, how is that coming?
Station 2.
2.
Yeah.
I have
The damn.
put that in Roger Baker's lap. Roger and Jamie Bunn have both called. Matter of fact, we talked about this in the last couple, 2-3 days. We've called 2 different people, and nobody has returned their calls as of yet, and it is in the works. So that's the best I can do right now.
Call 2 people to work on it to do the
Two
repairs?
different contractors or whatever that do that kind of work, so.
Still no recourse on the individual, did they?
Oh, we'll not get anything out of the individual. City will end up paying for that. He said he doesn't have anything, doesn't have a job, doesn't, based on John and the gentleman that struck the rear of Station 2, I mean.
The only thing he had was a car that ran the police, or the fire station.
Yeah. So anyway, but
Should've got it and just put it in the auction.
What's the cost to repair, you have any idea?
not as of yet, John, no. That's what they'd asked me, and we're still waiting on a couple different contractors to get back with us as far as the repair.
Are we gonna seek a judgment against this guy, or?
Like filing small claims, if it's,
Yeah.
I don't imagine it's gonna be over $10,000.
No, I don't believe so either. That's just,
Something you probably never gonna get out of, unfortunately. Got to follow them around if you do.
Well, I mean, if you did seek a judgment and it was awarded, I mean, they would furnish his wages when he was working legally and
Monkey move up.
put the guy
Doesn't
in
move the monkey
that
out.
way.
yes.
Recover taxpayer money is what it's all about, though.
Kind of life this
Board in January.
gentleman lives,
He says,
apparently,
Probably not,
he doesn't have many
but
assets.
we will take advantage.
Now,
of that.
is our insurance not gonna cover it, chief, or mayor?
No, I think it will.
Okay, I'm just curious. They'll be the ones that will seek.
You know, well,
restitution
and here's
not
the
us.
decision that we gotta make.
Well, they may.
Depending on how much it costs, is it worth us turning it in?
Yeah.
As I said, in past tense, I mentioned this, I believe, last meeting. In past tense, it's been cheaper to pay it out of my building account than it was to file an insurance claim, because it is buildings, I believe, is $1,000 deductible. So, in some cases, you know, it was less than that anyway, but, then they jack your rates and all that, so it may.
You know how it works. If
It
you
runs
use
$2,000
it,
to
they make
$3,000
you pay more for it.
The back door needs to be removed, and the steel frame and everything needs to be reincorporated, because that was broken hinge wise and stuff. Other than that, a couple standing rib, metal panels and all that need to be,
But the building's secure.
the building is secured, yeah.
The other
As
thing
good
is
as
we
can
put
be.
something on him, so if he hits the lottery, we get the money back.
If he's on probation, we can check with his probation officer to see if that was a stipulation of probation reimbursement. So I don't know how that went.
But that's all.
Okay, any questions for the chief? Okay, with that, we will adjourn at 6:48.
Does everybody have a finance committee agenda?
Hey, Dave, Mr. Morris, do you know anything about the Franklin Township fire contract? Has that been processed and sent on?
I don't think I've signed it.
I think I left that in my briefcase, so I'll get that going.
Okay.
Because I remember you gave it to me, and I
Well, I
think
left
it's
it in
still
my
there.
briefcase, and then I gave it to you,
Yeah.
and also anyway.
Yeah,
Um,
I'll make a note. to
You
get
did
that.
sign it.
I'll get it done.
I
this
did
week.
sign it?
You signed it.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay, sir.
Yeah, I'll get it to
And-
the prosecutor's office this week.
Okay. Because I guess they have said that they hadn't received anything from
Okay.
you.
Yeah, well, thanks for the reminder.
Well, that's okay. I can never remember that annually.
Okay, 6:49, Finance Committee will begin. Jay, you wanna read off the request here?
Yeah, the first one, it's actually coming out of service. Eddie had asked me if I would, go ahead and, get this in action tonight. What it is, the ordinance appropriating $5,780 within the general fund to service. It was a hot water tank here in the building needed repaired.
In this one?
In
Yes.
this building, yes, and it's the one in the back, cause we have two in here, is that correct?
Yes.
And,
There's a little one over there.
and the big one,
Big
we
one's
didn't have
back there.
water for half a day or something.
Yeah. That bathroom had hot water, and that was about it.
Yeah.
So we didn't replace the unit, we only repaired it for that much money?
So we replaced it,
Yeah.
installed and replaced an old.
Yeah, that's what it's coming out of, the fund, building repair, right?
Right.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Maintenance,
It's a line item.
75-gallon commercial. They brought in Guttridge to bring it, to do it, so he had a bill attached to that, let you know where that
Yeah,
is.
yeah,
So,
yeah.
gonna look at it, but, I told him I'd go ahead and if it goes through, he asked it to be waived, we go ahead and, yes. All of these.
Questions, comments? Committee? Go.
Yeah.
Okay.
The second one, my budget appropriation, I think everybody has one in your packet. What we're looking at here is, I know the mayor's talked to most of you guys. Yeah.
I think all of them now.
All of them?
Yes.
Obviously, this will be here for the first reading, on the 21st. I am assuming we will be doing some amending, but we wanted to get it at least underway, get that into action, and it was, the new experience for me trying to figure out, we'll just say it was an experience getting it all put together. Obviously Becky she's the brains behind the sources there, and then I see the numbers come out, and it's funny, cause then we hand it back to the mayor, and then you hear this, and then we have to make sure our defibrillators working, so. I'd like to get this, read into, for the first reading tonight, so,
It's in there.
Yeah.
85.
Next meeting, we
85,
have to do an
22.
emergency thing or something to get it, we don't, because it has to.
Hey, David. Question is, the meeting on the 21st, since this is dealing with money, if they vote on it and presumably pass it, does it have to be as an emergency so that it goes in effect by January 1st and doesn't have to wait the 30 days?
The budget?
Correct.
Yeah, it should be an emergency.
Okay.
Needs emergency then? Okay.
Clear emergency.
but in the past, they have not passed a budget until into January of the new year, I was.
We've always passed them in December. Yeah.
Have to,
Pass it.
otherwise we can't.
Can't
Can't do anything
do
out.
anything else.
Yeah.
Gotta have a balanced
Have to wait.
budget.
Yeah.
State law.
There was paperwork handed to me early on, that's fine, I'm good with that, 'cause that's where we're gonna go with it. I'm gonna do that.
Revised code says we gotta do it.
Otherwise, we can't pay any bills. Or people.
On January 7th.
Think all the money gets.
Yeah.
That might work well.
Yeah.
You missed his postscript of this, poor people.
Yeah.
Then you got a problem.
Nick, do you have a problem with that?
Okay.
Slight.
Well, you didn't even hesitate.
Nick's got his cell phone out right now.
You'll be able to buy razor blades. Oh, yeah. Who needs any comments on this? All right, committee's good. Next.
Okay, I brought this up a while back, and then it kind of fell on me, I let it go. We need to establish a fire levy fund for fire levy 3. So we have a fund since we passed the fire levy, and we received the money to put the money into. Thank goodness our law director was right on that today when we gave him a call. He put it together. So I'm asking if we could pass an ordinance to
86?
create a fire levy. Yep.
Where are we funding?
That way we have a
We've
fund
already- we've already
to put
passed
the
it.
money into
Fund.
that we get from the
Fund.
county. And this is, I mean, the timing on this will be such that, you know, we'll vote on this on the 21st as well. We actually would have been okay having not passed it in the next year even. It's just, by the time we get the money, we need to have a place to put the money, and this establishes the place that, this establishes the bucket with which we'll fill out of fire levy 3. Is that about right?
Yep.
A separate bank account, a separate line item on it.
Separate fund within our
Within our
budget and our.
chart of accounts?
Yes.
This comes in the chart.
Yeah, which we haven't done, we haven't done anything. How long has it been since we've had to establish a new fund?
What did we find out today? 03? She handed
Say,
us
I
something?
don't remember
Yeah,
this
that was
in a long
something
time.
else. She said that there was another one, like 09 or something. I don't remember the year. She didn't hand me that. She couldn't find it.
That's
But
okay.
handed me something else that really wasn't separate.
It's just a line item in our chart of accounts.
Yes, yep.
Questions, comments?
That's it. Yes.
Next.
Do I need to sign that too, Jim?
So she's done.
We had the last one, number 4. We'll just
For
go ahead.
Garden Club
Yeah,
donation,
Garden
right?
Club, yep.
It's coming out of safety, transfer the Heath Garden Club donation, $535 from general fund to fire levy 1, purchase the Lucas device. Further questions, comments?
Yes. Before you're
Right.
done, yes, before you're done,
Hmm?
or you're almost be done with your meetings
Oh, you mean
in general, this isn't in general.
Oh,
No,
okay.
just for that particular piece of legislation.
So I'll keep.
Okay. Other items.
But other items, just wanted to bring up that I met a few weeks ago. Just lost it. Gentleman from Englefield, and he, with our fleet program, he came in with a better deal, and you'll see we'll get a little bit of a better rate. He came in, did a nice little rebate for us, so hopefully in the winter months that'll help offset some costs that hopefully we won't need because it's not going to snow this year.
That's right.
And then finally, I just wanted to give you
Jay,
guys.
let me just back up
Yep.
just a second. and ask you. Okay, so this is a tax rebate?
It's a rebate that when we receive the fleet listing of everybody, yeah, it's what Becky was right on it. She got all excited and then she wrote it up and I wrote it down. But
Okay.
but what I was told was we were getting X amount of money back for the amount that we used. So
Okay. I mean, I knew that we were getting, with the fleet program and
Mhm.
everything, obviously, an advantage of going to a fleet program is that we had a reduced price at the pump. Are you saying that our price reduction at the pump is this is our price reduction at the pump?
I would guess that's what he was
Okay.
saying, yeah.
Is it a?
Because he had two different, the two different, and then he got it to .045 for
Okay.
both of them.
What, and the reason why, I'm trying to figure this out in my head is it a tax rebate? Is it a tax rebate? Because as a municipality,
We shouldn't be taxed anyways.
that's
Which,
what I'm wondering.
well, then I don't.
Yeah.
I just don't know if that's the right description.
I
Do
don't
we
think
pay
that's the-
do we pay the federal gasoline tax? I guess Englefield might know.
We pay either Fed or state. I think we pay the Fed, not the state.
Is that how it
That
goes?
conversation came up too.
The state,
That seems more likely.
Are we,
the state quit collecting direct from, they're collecting from the fuel supplier now. They're charging it at the pump instead of the state fuel tax. They get the,
Uh-huh.
because you have to.
How much is that? Do you know, Brian? What's the
I
state's
don't know.
per gallon tax?
Well, it's the additional tax that they're charging at the pump, I think. Did we talk about like the heavy highway use tax? I'm not walking around your question. Dick, is that what they're talking about possibly?
no idea.
Because the
It's
state
been-
used to charge it direct to the entity.
Yeah.
I thought municipalities would have been exempt anyways.
Jay, it's been so long since I've visited the fleet program, I just don't recall.
Well, and honestly,
See, you're paying, I
Roger
know
loves the
you're
gentleman's
being
thing.
charged when you purchase the pump. Everything's being charged to your account.
Yes.
And then they are discounting
Okay.
when you get
Yeah,
billed.
when they zip that card in, they pay a lower rate at the pump. I think, right, Nick? Am I right? When you fill something up, does the price go down that you see on the pump?
I think so.
I think it drops a penny or two, doesn't it?
What's that?
I think it drops a penny or two.
Okay.
I think.
I
But
don't
we
see the
must still
pump
be
changing
paying.
price.
I
We must still
thought-
be paying.
I
Well,
think
just
it
like
takes
at
sense on
Kroger,
it.
if you put your Kroger card in, it drops. And I think at Inglefield, I think it drops a penny or two. I
Maybe
can't
it
remember.
does.
But I think we are paying tax because we have a on-road and off-road card.
right.
For the diesel fuel that we use, like in
Uh-huh.
equipment,
Uh-huh.
it's not road tax.
Sounds like you're
So
the
we
one
must be
who
paying
gives
tax.
more tax.
Okay.
Rate
Okay.
change.
And I'll check, because the point that Roger was making, because we kept saying, there's something that, between the state and the Fed, that
Okay.
one was like, he said, we're still fighting that, or you don't get.
Maybe-
I mean, I'm not gonna raise a stink because it's to our better. I'm just curious. I just
know,
don't.
and
Seems likely that they charge everybody the same at the pump, and then since we're tax exempt, they just
Discount the billing?
That's
They
right.
just give it back.
Uh-huh.
Rather than,
Uh-huh.
rather than try to monkey with the meter on the pump for
Uh-huh.
everybody.
Okay.
I know there's international fuel tax, which is, you still pay direct as an entity, or would, but I think you're exempt as a municipality, but then there's Ohio fuel tax, which you used to pay direct as an entity, and now they collect it at the pump, and maybe that's why they're discounting, only because the municipality doesn't have to pay it, I don't know, but, before you used to have to pay that bill direct to the state, you'd have to calculate your miles and your gallons and all that and send it in. They quit doing that about 3 years ago, the state
Okay.
did,
Sounds
they
like
just
a
put that
higher-
responsibility right on.
Right at the pump, right when you,
I
yeah.
mean, it sounds like where you have a higher usage, you get a better discount.
I wouldn't call it a tax rate, you might get a discount because of your fleet program, but the discount, you might get, if they're giving you back a tax discount, it's because you're a municipality and you're not obligated to pay it anyways.
Uh-huh.
But it might be right, the more you use, the more you're gonna realize.
Right.
But not in the
From
tax.
Inglefield, probably.
Not in the
Not a
tax.
Yeah, they're not discount.
No,
But from Inglefield, just because it's a volume thing, they want your business.
Yeah.
Two things happen in there, I think. You're getting back the Ohio tax they're collecting because you're not obligated to pay the additional heavy highway use tax that a fleet would pay.
Yeah.
Would that tax be more than 4.5 cents though? Wouldn't that tax?
That is,
Yeah.
but I don't know what the state is.
Oh, I think that extra tax used to be, I'm gonna guess, it's been so long since we filled that report out, but it might have been 5 cents a gallon.
Well, like I said, he was moving,
Probably someone
he kidding,
smart
and he,
could Google it.
For Ohio,
Check.
for Ohio, yeah, we got to be smart enough to do
he said,
it. I think it was about 5.
it's something we should have
Hey, we're getting money back, that's.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. That's a good thing. That's a good thing. I'm just.
It's
I
such a
just-
rarity, we don't know what to do with ourselves.
We should have.
Tim?
I got a question about fuel, and that's something maybe the mayor and auditor can check out and stuff, because I've always wondered this. So, you know, we used to be, Keith would buy gas when we had the tanks, and he would always try to get a cheaper rate or buy, you know,
Yes.
and all that kind of stuff and buy
Yes.
it. And that's, was locked in at that cost for every gallon you bought, whether it went up, down after that.
Yes.
Now, when you get it at BP, and the price of the pump can go up 30 cents and snap of the finger like that at times, and
Yep.
drop real slow. Do we actually pay that price, or that's the price it looks like it, but when you actually get
We
billed,
pay.
you get a corporate rate or something like that, or?
We
is-
get, we get a reduced rate, but if at 9 AM, the price is $1.90 a gallon,
Okay.
and if at 2 PM, the price is $2.20 a gallon, if we fill up in the morning, we're paying, our discount's gonna be based off that 190. If we're filling up in the afternoon, it's gonna be based off that 220. So whatever the price is at the pump
Okay.
is the beginning, and then we get a reduction off of that.
Okay. So if it is that, if it's not like
That's a good deal.
more of a set range
Really.
and stuff, then actually to save money for the city or whatever, if, you know, the price is down, you know it's going down or whatever, fill up, instead of filling up when it's high. And if you don't need fuel, don't fill up, you know,
I-
just for the sake of topping off the
You-
tank.
I
when it's high.
encourage that, Tim.
You know,
I
I mean-
encourage the. I talked to Bob Geller. I talked to John Geller, and I encourage them. I mean, I have called them in the morning as I'm coming into the office. I say, "Hey guys, gas is about as cheap as I've seen it in a long time. Try to go fill up whatever we can."
Okay.
Now, hopefully that filters down to you guys, because that's what I want to see happening. Because yeah, I mean, if we're at 3/4 of a tank, and you know, I mean, you can just feel it, right? You get to that point where, man, you know it's going to go up later in the day,
Well, and I think-
I'll call and I'll say, fill up.
Well, I wonder that, and I
Yeah.
also wonder that for like the city of Newark, because of the same thing, because no one has ever told us, you know, and everything. And it's just like, fill up whenever it's convenient. You don't
I
really worry
try to
about high
take
or
that
low and stuff.
approach on my personal vehicles,
You know?
and so I try to encourage that mentality
Yeah.
with the city vehicles too, right? I mean, you know,
Yeah,
when you're driving by, if it's been a couple of weeks and the prices are, you know, in the next day or two, it's probably gonna go up.
So the other thing I wondered is, like in Newark, there's more BP stations that you can
Uh-huh.
hit, and there's sometimes some station will be a lot, I mean, they change different, they don't go at the same
Yeah.
time and stuff, and I've
Yeah.
always wondered about
Price fixing if they did.
and everything. It's like, should I,
Yeah.
you know, fill
Is
up
that
here or
right?
there and everything and stuff, and it's like, no one's ever told us that it's the price of the pump or different stuff, so I don't know.
We
just all
don't
go-
know, we don't get a heads up in advance of when there's gonna be that 20 to 30% increase.
Yeah.
Like I said, to me, it's just, you feel it.
Yeah.
You know, gosh, it's been low, it's.
I just always thought with our food, like maybe we get a set price, you know, not a set price, but almost like an average or something like that for the month or something like that.
Doesn't
where
work that way.
It didn't matter, you know,
Every
whether
time
you
we
bought
go
it
to
the high
fill
or the
up,
low, you're gonna get.
They have a
Yeah.
card, I mean, it's a card,
Yeah.
they zip it in that thing.
Right.
And that identifies the
When
fleet.
you got it.
And it tracks,
Yeah.
you know, they put their initials in, or it knows exact, I mean, they can't
Yeah.
just keep going every day. So I've met with Roger a few times and really understood the spreadsheet. As much as you don't think they are paying attention, you can tell when the gas is low. And you can tell by the gallons. They aren't just going, and then if it gets a little bit higher,
They don't
they
want
don't.
much
The
of
only
it.
ones that seem to stay
Police.
consistent are police, because they never turn the car off,
Yeah.
which is understandable.
Right.
Right.
And honestly, the,
And also,
the street trucks
for
in the
fire,
winter,
for the
yeah.
fire trucks,
Yeah, that's right too.
it's either a half a tank. There's a limit that they don't allow it go below, because if they respond to a fire run, to run those pumps, I mean, you're increasing the RPMs on the engine. I mean, it's not like you're just idling.
Yeah.
And so, you know, you're actually burning
Yeah.
more fuel. So they are cautious to not let it get below a certain level in the trucks. But
Yeah,
like
that's
in
what-
fire, in the pickup truck, they have I think it's a 70-gallon diesel tank in the back that's just like they can haul spare diesel. I'll tell them,
Fill it
go
up.
fill it up. You know,
Yeah.
if you see that price dropping, go fill it up.
Okay, all right, thanks.
We try. You know, I mean, I think we try.
Then it drops a nickel the next day.
Yeah.
What triggers those price increases anyway? Everybody doesn't get a load of gas the same day, but everybody's prices go up. Same thing.
Price fixing.
What's the deal there, Timmy?
Yeah, they got Dollar
Yeah,
General.
yeah, JR.
Well, I would tell you, but you
Charging you a
have
buck
no
90
idea
for it. Yeah,
why
yeah.
you get a price increase, and when BP calls and says your new price, it's in effect right now.
Yep.
And same thing, when it drops, they
Hey,
call
Ronnie.
and they give you a new price.
It's like frozen orange juice.
Oh,
What does
yeah,
the cost of
definitely
frozen orange
spot
juice
market.
go up when they say there's gonna be a freeze in Florida, when that orange juice has already been produced and frozen? It's not even that, that's the next orange. And
They
actually,
gotta
if they
replace
get
it.
frozen, they make frozen orange juice out of that stuff rather than have the fresh oranges.
Yeah.
So the cost should go down because there's more oranges to make that.
They gotta replace it.
Well, we've had some extra curricular topics for finance this evening.
The short answer is because they can.
Yeah, 'cause they can.
Is there anything else for finance so I can get this thing?
I don't know if, I just want to make sure that we're prepared that, we
December
potentially
28th.
could have December 28th. I'll let you know for sure on the 21st.
Yeah, for the
But it'll
cleanup.
come down to, if our payroll numbers are there and the final budgeting is all put together.
That's
You
Monday.
can have all the time you want after.
Monday the 28th, and we'll just probably do it, we'll announce it, but probably right before the,
Let's just, let's
service.
have the, I mean, if we have to announce a time, it's easier to announce the time, say it's gonna start at 5:30.
5:30.
Yeah.
It lasts maybe 5 minutes.
Right,
Yeah.
And then we can start John's committee after that.
There we
Right.
go, we get bumped again.
Yay.
Get bumped again, darn it.
No
You done, Jeff?
respect for the ship.
You done, Jeff?
Okay,
You
we've
adjourned?
talked gasoline, orange juice, and the ship plant, so I think we're
Okay.
adjourned. 7:10.
We can do cocktails pretty quick. All right. Invocation is
Want me to do it?
Yeah.
Okay.
Maru.
Everybody's here today.